So I spent the weekend and I took like 4 robot kits. I think two of the kits were Maker Bot beginners kits. That's where I got these black pieces here. And I had previously bought 2 kits from Digilant. One was a line follower with some optical sensor stuff, and the other one was just a plain robot. And I got these 12 volt DC 19 gear ratio motors, all 4 of them, 2 in each kit, the brackets and the square plates. So I put together this little cube of a robot. I don't, you know, I don't know what to call him. It doesn't have a name right now, but all the motors are driven by 12 volts DC, and I have my power supply on up here, and I can get it to run minimum 9 volts at 2 amps, and the control board is not there. It's not on there right now. I've got to put it back on. I was troubleshooting a problem that I ran into. I was trying to use Digilent's demo motor library, and their demo motor library would control 3 of the 4 motors properly going in reverse and forward, as well as the duty cycle and the pulse width modulated signal going back and forth. And maybe in another video I'll show what I figured out and how I figured it out. But I did basic hardware troubleshooting of switching motors and H bridges around, and switching the ports on the controller around with little connector cables that Digilent supplies. And I found that there was nothing wrong with the motor. There was nothing wrong with the H bridge drivers. That's these things here, these 4 things. And that was perfectly fine. So now I have it working, and it'll go in the direction I want. I wanted to show this little power distribution system that I built real quick and easy. There's 9 volts going to it right now, going to the main power block, and it distributes out that 9 volts to each one of the H-bridge drivers. So the H-bridge drivers will drive up to 12 volts for the H-bridges to drive the motors. And I have a fully charged, like holy crap milliamp hour battery that does 11.1 volts. So on the back here, right now, I have the leads from my power supply hooked up, and that's what I've been using to test it. And this distribution block has a LM7805 to push 5 volts out, so that I can even power. I'm like hacking stuff together with jumper wires and stuff, but so that I can power up the controller board here from it as well. So it'll all turn on pretty much about the same time. Yeah, when I don't have it switched so that instead of going on external power, it goes on debug power. Yeah, let's try that again. So the board and everything will power up at the same time as the motors will, and everything can be powered from a single source. So now if I disconnect the power supply and flip up my little protector guard jobby deal thing there, keeps the battery in there, helps keep the battery in there if it gets thrown around too much, and hook up the battery, which you're not getting a good shot of, but there's some alligator clips going to these leads on the back of this junction here. And I turn it on, and it's the same thing. So it's a single modular power supply that I can either power from that or power from the battery, and it drives everything in one fell swoop. And it has enough juice to drive the motors around. Earlier this weekend, after I built this thing here, I drove it around a little bit with a little demo code from Digilant that I didn't realize wasn't entirely working. I thought it was working okay. And you know what, I'll do another video later on that with my wonderful wife, troubleshooting, or not troubleshooting, videotaping, because I'm an idiot and I'm not paying total attention to what I'm talking about. So it was going around in circles so fast that I couldn't actually pick it up. I kept almost knocking it over, but it would right itself as it was spinning around. And it took me a couple of tries, but I was able to, hit the switch to turn it off because it was going so fast. And I didn't even have it fully at full power. It wasn't even at full power, the 12 volt power rails. It was 20%. So that's pretty good. I think these motors are going to be very good for driving this thing. It's kind of heavy. I think it's probably, with the battery pack and everything in it and the controller board attached, probably about 2 pounds.
Probably.
Maybe. So this is what I've got right now. That's the power block, and it distributes all the power to the proper places. I'll put the controller board in, and in the next video that my wife shoots, I'll have the controller board and everything in, and all the motors hooked up, and them all spinning as I have this thing upside down, so it doesn't go flying all over the table here, the work table. Alright, that's it. Next video.